Colston Loveland's a Chicago Bear. Let's highlight some day two prospects. Let's go.
Bend over to your right.
What the was that?
What's up, Bears fans?
People want to hear me talk.
What's going on, Bears fans, and welcome to another episode of the Nicholas Moreano Show. I'm your host, Nicholas Moreano. Make sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment, and obviously share this Bears channel with a fellow Bears fan. How's everyone feeling? Night one, the NFL draft is finally done and over with, and the Bears have a new playmaker on offense in Michigan tight end Colston Loveland. I just kind of looking and trying to reflect back on some of the mock drafts. I know I never took him, but I am glad that I remembered. I definitely talked about him in depth on this channel. It was actually a week ago from today where somebody was brought up Tyler Warren, Colston Loveland, and I just had actually watched tape of Colston Loveland and highlighted a lot of the things that I really, really liked about him. I love Loveland's game. And, I put that video separately on this YouTube channel. It's all over my social media now at this point, but definitely get into some more areas of his game that I do like. Share what Ryan Poles had to say about him, Jeff King, Senior Director of Player Personnel for the Bears, but also, go over some day two prospects as we kind of look into what the Bears can potentially do now with 39-41 as it stands at this point today. So it should be a fun day. And I wanted, it's going to be a quicker episode than most, just because this show doesn't have much of a lifespan outside of the next couple of hours until the draft starts. But let's get into it really quickly, you guys. Obviously, thank you for coming out, hanging out. Montana Shy, what up, Nick? What's going on? We have Gabe in the chat. Morning, great day to have two gigantic tight ends now. I agree. It's a great day if you're Ben Johnson, too, because when you're looking at these tight ends and what you could potentially do in this offense, that was one of a big intrigue for the Chicago Bears when you're looking at a guy like Colston Loveland. And obviously, Tyler Warren was still on the board when the Bears were selecting at 10, but just based off of hearing from Poles, King, and like how they were kind of viewing like Colston Loveland, it really was, a number of things. Obviously they love the person. We know that's going to be probably a big thing for most organizations, right? You're going to have to go and look to the person, but that's always been a big thing for Ryan Poles. They love, his upbringing. Idaho tough was the term that Ryan Poles said last night when he spoke to the media, but they love the person, but also just kind of his upbringing, what he's about, and how he, kind of just presents himself. And they got a chance to kind of learn about him more and more over the pre-draft process, going to games, interviewing him, talking with him. And that's going to be huge. But what I think not matters most, but obviously is going to be a huge component when you make any selection, is the fit in your scheme, the fit, what he can do on the football field. And Colston Loveland, you guys, is somebody that can be a mismatch threat to a defense. Because when you think about how the Bears could potentially utilize him, I'm sure Ben Johnson's thinking Sam Laporta in mind. But, even when Sam Laporta was coming out of Iowa, he's not the route runner that Colston Loveland is. And I know, look, Sam Laporta is amazing. You saw what he did, these past two seasons, especially last year under Ben Johnson in his offense. But just as a mover, look, you got to give that to Colston Loveland. When you watch him, like I've said before, he moves just like a bigger bodied wide receiver. And no, not to slight him in any way, but he just moves that smooth, operates that quickly in and out of his breaks. And that is what, I really do like about him. But just think about it too. If you're maybe thinking about this pick, or you're like even wondering, why did they take maybe who was consensus the number 2 tight end, depending on who you spoke to or who you listened to. Some people had Colston Loveland as number 1. They're different players, but the thing is, like, when you when you're thinking about the Bears and how this best matches up with what they have personnel wise, you already have a true inline wide tight end in Cole Kmet. And now you have this kind of this hybrid player in Colston Loveland, who, we do have to mention coming off the AC joint, shoulder injury, and, probably is going to take some time to get recovered with that. But based off of what Ryan Poles was saying, doesn't feel like he's going to miss, a lot of time. If anything, be back for training camp, but had the surgery in January to repair the AC joint in his right shoulder. So I don't think it doesn't sound like it's too much of a concern. It definitely didn't feel that way coming from Ryan Poles last night, but you just got to make sure that, you don't rush things with him. But getting back to, what he can do with 12 personnel, it's like you do have this, just an athlete who is in this, bigger frame body as a tight end. And you can have him, what I also said in the videos that I, when I was talking about Colston Loveland, most teams are going to go 11 personnel, get 3 wide receivers on there. And obviously, the Bears, that third wide receiver spot is still a little bit of a question. You have guys there, but you can go 12 personnel and still get what you're looking for out of 11, if that makes sense, because of his movement skills in Loveland. So instead of maybe putting like an Olamide Zaccheaus or Devin Duvernay, Tyler Scott, whoever it may be, just put Loveland in the slot. Let him work from these condensed splits against a put a linebacker on him and see what's going to happen in coverage. It's probably not going to be your best bet if you're an opposing defense. Put a safety on him. He's bigger than every single safety he's going to face in the NFL. And he can separate. And the game that shows a lot of that is last year's performance against Oregon, 7 receptions, 112 yards. You'll see. He moves like a wide receiver there. So love a lot of those aspects about his game and just, what he's going to potentially do for this Bears offense. It is exciting. And maybe not what people were expecting. I think, who I wanted the Bears to get was Will Campbell. And like most mock drafts and like everybody was thinking if at number 4 in New England, it just wasn't going to happen. It didn't. He went to number 4 in New England. But who I had them getting was Tyler Warren. And, not that it would be a bad pick, but I guess now hindsight, thinking about it, it is just too similar to a guy like Cole Kmet. It really is. Not that that's a bad thing. Could a guy like Ben Johnson be creative with that and find ways to utilize 2 inline wide tight ends? Sure, absolutely. It's probably, a different way to create mismatches. But what Ben Johnson, when you think about when he was at the NFL owners meetings, he had a interesting comment about just some of the playmakers on the football field, and he compared it to a basketball team and wanting different body types, right? You got your point guard, your small forward, power forward, center, different body types. And that comment is now, I think, truly telling with what the Bears did at number 10 in Colston Loveland. It's a different body type at a position where they also have the opposite end of that version of a tight end in Cole Kmet. So different body types, but also just different ways to attack defenses. And that is what you're going to see with Colston Loveland. He obviously stay healthy, get fully recovered from the AC joint and be ready to be on the football field. But if you're Ben Johnson, or if you're the Bears, like you just see how much influence a guy like Ben Johnson has on this organization. And also stating, what he needs to operate this offense. And really quickly too, like the whole rumors prior to the draft about the Bears, wanting to move up. And, Ryan Poles did say he took calls to kind of explore that, but it just wasn't going to be right for them, especially knowing how much draft capital you had to give up and what you would get in return, the one player, right? But I think it just kind of speaks to, this day and age, like if the Bears would have moved up to maybe select Ashton Genty and gave up the farm to go get him, obviously you get the best running back in this class, no doubt about it. And when I was putting out on Twitter, like I put like, the emoji where if you're watching the show, you're like, ugh, you're gonna move up to get Genty. It's not about Genty. It's about moving up in the draft capital you would have to get him. But I think the pick with Colston Loveland, it just kind of shows in this modern NFL, it's still right now is going to be about the passing game. You didn't give up the draft capital, whatever it would have taken to move up to get a guy like Genty, if that's who they were targeting. And I'm not going to say settle, but you stayed at 10 to still get the guy that impacts the run game and the pass game really quickly. As a run blocker for Colston Loveland, I think some of the knocks are like his frame. He's more of a wiry a little bit. Like if you compare him to a guy like Tyler Warren, who's a little bit stockier, Colston Loveland, he can block. Like, don't get that twisted at all. The guy can block. I think it's just going to take a little bit more, maybe technique, reps at it, but a willing blocker, he's going to put a hell of an effort too. And so when you think about that aspect, his ability to affect the passing game and just be an asset to Caleb Williams, it makes a lot of sense why the Bears went out and got a guy like this. And you're seeing now too, I think I believe I retweeted or maybe bookmarked a tweet. Here we go. Well, here's Ian Rappaport. He tweeted this out. This is an hour ago. Every year, there's a player who gets really hot really late. One that teams are scrambling to trade up for. Last night, that player was Michigan tight end Colston Loveland. When the Bears picked him at number 10, the calls in the early teens quieted. There wasn't a trade until number 25. If you're, on the fence, like, who the hell is Colston Loveland? Why did the Bears select the tight end number 10? Maybe that makes you feel a little better that there was momentum to go get a guy like that. Maybe. But that's what teams were feeling. If you want, before we kind of move on, because like I said, it's going to be a quicker show. We'll be at Hallis Hall later today. Colston Loveland will be at Hallis Hall in person, speak to the media mid-afternoonish before day 2 festivities really start for the draft and things like that. So again, quicker show, shorter lifespan here on this show, but we got to talk Bears. What the hell was I just saying here? Oh yeah, really quickly to end the Colston Loveland discussion. Actually, I just want to see what do you guys, do you like the pick? Do you like the pick? I see Steve, actually, it's a good point. Like, we have to keep this in mind with him. The AC joint, the surgery just got in January. Loveland's shoulder injury is more of a concern and whether there is re-injury risk if they try to rush him back. Yeah, Steve, no doubt. But obviously, you don't make that pick if you're not confident or comfortable that this injury is not going to be something that continues to affect him, in the long term. And you just got to be smart about it. There's no reason to rush the guy right now. He can be out there. He can be watching from the sidelines, soaking everything in, but there is no reason to rush him. Especially, you don't want anything, a setback, anything like that. You don't want anything crying on Magaji like, right? Where he misses a majority of his rookie season, especially early on in camp. Late start, we didn't need that. But very valid point. So really quickly, guys, let me know what you think. Do you like the pick? Do you not like the pick? Who would you have selected that was available at 10? Would you have liked to have seen the trade up, regardless of what the cost would have been to get a guy like, let's say, Ashton Genty? I'm curious what your thoughts are and what you're feeling about the team at this point in time. But let's like I said, continue this. Probably do 30 minutes here, so we'll highlight some of these draft prospects that I like going into day 2. A lot of good players still left, obviously. And this is where a lot of consensus was from, not even Ryan Poles, but I think teams where you can get a lot of starters, impact players for your football team. And I'm glad that, the Bears didn't move up because they probably would have had to give up 39 or 41 to do so. And that would have been missing out on some really good playmakers to impact your football team. But before I do, and like I'm still looking at the comments here to see what you guys make. Colston Loveland, Chicago Bear, another tight end. Compliment Cole Kmet. And I don't, you know what? Last thing, put a bow on this. I don't think this is like the end of Cole Kmet. When you do have a guy like this, it's definitely a possibility, right? They are just different tight ends, and Cole did it, getting the contract extension not too long ago, doesn't have much or if any guaranteed money next season. But I think maybe it's going to obviously depend on like how these two tight ends work together in this offense. But as of right now, I see it more of an asset to the overall scheme and what they can do, and not more so like, oh, they're Cole Kmet's done. It could end up being true, but I do see it as how these two can work off of each other. The thing is, like, you're not going to see probably the numbers that you would normally see, or for a guy like Cole Kmet, because you're sharing this now with a very capable playmaker in Colston Loveland, and that's going to be interesting. And look, Sam Laporta got work in his rookie season, so I would think that if you have a guy like Colston Loveland, you're going to want to use him a lot, and he was a first-round draft pick. Loveland, Laporta was a second-rounder, so yeah, you know what? These two can definitely work in tandem, and maybe look, Ben Johnson. I keep going on with this damn topic. I'm sorry, but at this point, we know what Ben Johnson's offense was in Detroit. He had the two-back system, two running backs. Like that was obviously a huge focal point. And that can definitely be something he wants to still utilize here in Chicago. Two feature really good running backs. What if this version of Ben Johnson's offense in Chicago is two featured really good tight ends? He didn't have that in Detroit. He had Brock Wright and Sam Laporta. Brock Wright was more of your blocking inline tight end, and caught only over 100 yards, I believe 2 touchdowns last season. So definitely not the playmakers Ben Johnson now has in Chicago. So what if there is a little bit of a difference? But you can still have two good running backs. Want to make sure I mention that, but could just be a different way of getting production out of his offense. Instead of two prominent, really good backs, you have two good tight ends. Don't know. We'll see. Now I need to stay on schedule here. Like I said, a lot of things coming up, but let's continue this conversation. Let's get into some day 2 prospects. Also, if maybe you already put it in the chat, but who are you guys eyeing? Who are some day 2 prospects? We'll definitely highlight some that you guys mentioned here, but also share some of the guys that, personally I'm just liking for the Bears and what they can do to continue building this football team. But before we get into all that, you guys already know. I got to tell you about Windy City Sports Cards. They specialize in buying and selling all things related to Chicago sports. Whether you are a diehard fan of the Bears, Bulls, Cubs, White Sox, or Blackhawks, they've got you covered with an extensive selection of sports memorabilia and collectibles in addition to the Chicago-focused items, everybody. They also offer a vast collection of sports trading cards and memorabilia from your favorite teams and players. Visit their online store to find exactly what you're looking for to complete your collection or to discover a new favorite. You can check them out at 312-WindyCitySports.com. That's 312-WindyCitySports.com. And of course, if you've been watching the Nicholas Moreano show, I have to tell everybody about Napleton Cadillac of Libertyville. It's a one-stop shop for all your needs. And what I mean by that, everybody, is sales, service, parts, and body shop is all available at Napleton Cadillac of Libertyville, located on 1050 South Milwaukee Avenue in Libertyville, Illinois. The team prides itself on their service, winning dealership of the year twice, everybody. So check out their website at NapletonCadillacLibertyville.com to see all their new and pre-owned vehicles, including the new all-EV Cadillac Lyriq. Also, just subscribe to their YouTube channel. You can go do that right now to view more of those vehicles, which you can find in the description below. So, just click on the little down arrow. You'll see it in the description. Napleton Cadillac of Libertyville, your one-stop shop for all your needs. And really quickly, you guys, we have to bring out the orange flavor. It just seems fitting. Protein 2.0, if you're looking for a alternative protein drink that tastes amazing, you're going to want to check out Protein 2.0. I have the orange mango flavor. You get 20 grams of protein, 350 milligrams of your electrolytes, and also it's only 90 calories. And like I said, it tastes so good. I have some other flavors downstairs. I'm really excited to try it too. But Bears, orange, mango makes too much sense. Protein 2.0, you can Amazon, Target, you can pick them up at. So check out Protein 2.0. Let me know how they taste. You won't be disappointed, I promise. All right, everybody. Let's keep going here and let's talk about some day 2 prospects. Obviously, the Bears have 3 picks as of right now on day 2, 39, 41, and 72 in the 3rd round. But I think this is going to be a really prime opportunity for the Bears if they want to address the edge rusher position. There's, just to I've already brought up Daniel Jeremiah's name on this show plenty of times before, NFL Network. This was an area where he identified edge rushers as being a spot where you can find some good talent, especially in that 39 to 41 range. And I think the Bears they're definitely going to be in that, pick range to get some, I think, good players that fit what Dennis Allen would ultimately like from his defense. Boston College, Donovan Izaruku. Oh my God. Izaruku. I had this name down and then I looked at it and then I just butchered it. But a guy that I think when you let's just look at the physical measurements, because I think that's why Jalen Walker from Georgia wasn't really on the table for the Bears, only being 6'1" as an edge rusher. Just wasn't going to make sense for the Bears. And I know that people were talking about that, just not going to do it. You know what? And even Donovan, a little bit more on the shorter side that I think is ideal for Dennis Allen, but 6'3", 248. I think he still fits like the bottom end of what Dennis Allen would be looking for in a defensive end. 12 games last season, 20 and a half tackles for loss, 16 and a half sacks. So the production's obviously there, but also somebody that, if you're looking at positions of need, definitely could be there. JT to Moilau. JT to Moilau. I think I got that actually. That was somebody that I highlighted. Herb Howard and I from the Bigs. We were doing some I did highlight him. But that's a guy, 12 and a half sacks last season. He would also fit what the Bears are looking for in terms of the height and weights, but also production. Someone that I think has just been, when he's not getting to the quarterback, just times things up with his hands. 6'4", 264, a little bit bigger, right? 21 years old, but yeah, he's someone also that I'm looking at if you're looking to still upgrade the edge rusher position. Yeah, he would fit. Jordan Birch from Oregon. Actually, I think we did our mock draft show on Wednesday, and we end up taking a guy like Jordan Birch, the 6'4", 279-pound edge rusher from Oregon. 11 tackles for loss, 8.5 sacks in 10 games in 2024. Also someone to look at. And we'll get into position by position really quickly, guys, but I'm just kind of on the edge rushers because I think there's still some quality players here. Nick Scorton. I know people, when we were doing that mock draft show, he was somebody that a lot of people liked, and I get it. I completely understand why. 6'3", 257. Well, let's see. Looking at ESPN's best available, someone that disruptive, can play the run, is somebody that's still only 20. He won't turn 21 until August 25th. So young, and when you think about it too, Texas A&M, they had a couple. Obviously, they have a couple of guys on that defensive line, so kind of sharing the production there. But last season, 12 games played, 37 tackles, 14 TFLs, 5 sacks, 1 forced fumble. Nick Gordon, I wouldn't pass the Bears to not at least look into a guy like that. Those I think, are definitely the guys at the top when you're thinking 39, 41. I would think. Really quick, I mean, we got to talk about running backs next, right? It makes the most sense. Okay. I put out a tweet earlier. Give me, a prediction, a player that you like, that you think the Bears will select on day 2. And for people who know me, know where I went to school, this has literally nothing to do with it, maybe slightly. But I like Caleb Johnson as an option for the Chicago Bears. And yes, I also like Judkins from Ohio State. I also like Travion Henderson from Ohio State. But I'm just putting somebody that, okay, if I had to like not put money on it, because probably lose money because there's so many players that could be taken. But I do like Caleb Johnson. And here is one stat that I'm going to share with you. One stat. If you're like, oh, nah, Caleb, I'm not a fan of Caleb Johnson. Fine. Maybe this will sway you just slightly. Just slightly. This is from Warren Sharp. Sharp football. Smart man. Great mustache. Caleb Johnson. Iowa doesn't disguise their intent, so running backs face stacked boxes often. They sure do. Johnson faced 7.1 box defenders on average. Number 2 most in the class. 28% of runs versus a light box. Lowest in the class. But when facing a light box, 9.8 yards per carry. Number 1 most in class. Accounted for 40% of Iowa's offensive yardage. Second most in the class. I mean, look, if anybody, I don't expect a lot of people to watch Iowa football, especially if you're not from Iowa or you didn't go to Iowa like I did. There's no reason to. But that's the thing with Iowa football. They're not disguising it. You know who to stop. When you're game playing against the Iowa Hawkeyes, especially last year or the last couple of years, Caleb Johnson was your number 1 focus. It was. Like, that's who you need to stop. And that's why you stack the box. And still, the guy ran all over teams. And you see and like I just read off the production, 9.8 yards per carry versus a light box. When you're facing the Chicago Bears, you can't stack the box. You have DJ Moore. You have Roma Dunze. You have Cole Kmet. You have Colston Loveland. If you had a guy like Caleb Johnson, I don't know if stacking the box is the best way to do it, unless you're, again, but if you're in that 12 personnel, you don't know if the Bears are running the football or passing it to one of their tight ends. You don't know that as a defense. And with someone as creative as Ben Johnson, I'm sure that he's going to do his best to make defenses guessing. But in 2024, for people who aren't aware of one of the best runners in college football last season, 240 carries, 1,537 yards, 21 rushing touchdowns. As a receiver, doesn't really add too much. 35 catches over 3 years at Iowa. Oh, sorry. 29 catches over 3 years at Iowa. 22 coming last year, the most he's had in a season. 188 yards, 2 touchdowns. So, I don't know. People can be a little hesitant on Caleb Johnson. Sure, it's fine, but I still like other running backs still in this class too. Travion Henderson was somebody I've taken in a mock draft. People say a little bit too similar to a DeAndre Swift with, just his play style. Maybe patience is a question at times. I still have seen it where he runs with patience, can run in between the tackles. Just has to get more consistent in that aspect, but someone that I would take if he's available there too. Quinshon Judkins. But I think in round 2, those are your 3 options, right? Not unless anybody feels very differently for the running back spot, but it does seem like Travion Henderson, Quinshon Judkins, and Caleb Johnson. You wait any later than that, I think all 3 of those guys are gone. So I think you do have to go and select one of those 3 guys with 39 or 41. If not, then you're kind of going into the next round of guys. You have your Cam Scatterboom out of Arizona State, Dylan Sampson out of Tennessee, Devin Neal out of Kansas, DJ Giddens out of Kansas State. So if you want that instant playmaker at the running back spot, I think it does have to be 39-41. And if they even make it there. So we'll see. Another, obviously, offensive tackle can be something that people are potentially looking at right now. And we took, let me make sure I am pronouncing this football player's name correctly. Ariante Ursary. Oh, I thought it was just Tay, according to the Beast. Ariante Ursary. 6'6", 331 out of Minnesota. A giant human being and somebody that would fit. I think if you're looking for a gigantic left tackle to lock down that left side of the offensive line, zone heavy scheme they ran there in Minnesota. Yeah, I think if you're looking to potentially put even more competition in that room, that is somebody that definitely makes sense. Charles Grant from William and Mary is also on the list here for ESPN, 6'5", 311. Just another offensive tackle. Started 41 games at left tackle in college. Played in zone heavy scheme. So they're guys that match what you potentially want to do there. So those, I think, are your top two tackles that you would have, that probably 39, 41 you're looking at. Another position group, if we wanted to maybe look at the interior defensive lineman, Darius Alexander from Toledo, older prospect, but 6'4", 305, wins with power. Showed some really good things at the Reese Senior Bowl. Could definitely be someone to keep an eye on. Shamar Turner, the next guy at Texas A&M, who also, did some, really good things over there. There are so many options here. TJ Sanders, South Carolina, Omar Norman Lott, Alfred Collins from Texas, another guy that I like a lot too, 6'6", 332 pounds. Can take on double teams, split them, good run defender. There's going to be some. That's why again, Ryan Poles, Ian Cunningham, and Ben Johnson, I guess, didn't want to move up or give too much move up in the first round to select whoever it was that they're identifying. If it was Ashton Genty, because there are some guys that you can add to this football team that are going to fit under that category of impact players, starters, even. And you know what? Actually, the starter, I guess, is a little subjective. Like if you select Caleb Johnson and DeAndre Swift is still technically a starter, but guys that are going to make an impact, and that's all that really matters, right? But yeah, you have quality playmakers there. You go wide receiver or safety, at these next two picks as well. If you want to get some value there, Jaden Higgins from Iowa State is still available. Trey Harris from Ole Miss, Luther Burden the third from Missouri. That was a guy that was projected first round, but for whatever reason has now slipped. I know he posted on his social media. It was like 12:50 something. He was out there working on the Missouri practice field or whatever. I didn't get out of Hallis Hall until, actually, you know what? I can check, because as I was leaving Hallis Hall, the last three people there, Herb Howard, myself, and Alex Shapiro from CHSN. As I was leaving there, at what time did I take this picture at? Oh, 12:58, around the same time. There's a bunch of deer everywhere, just at Hallis Hall, just eating some grass and hanging out. But getting off track here. Luther Burden, still available. You have Jalen Noel from also Iowa State. So you have two Iowa State Cyclones. Sure. No, I'm just kidding. Jack Beck from TCU. So Jalen Royals, Utah State. Quality playmakers, man. A lot of them. And then really quickly, safeties. We're looking at safeties. Nick Amanawari, South Carolina. I should have definitely looked at the pronunciation. Sorry about that, Nick. You have Kevin Winston Jr. from Penn State. Physical, plays free safety, can really line up anywhere you want. Didn't have, obviously, the season in 2024 due to the injury. But, man, he in the injury in 2024, but he's someone that I really like as well. Xavier Watts, also Notre Dame safety. Dude had grabbed 13 interceptions and broke up 13 passes over 2 seasons at Notre Dame. Guys, I have a feeling, like, just as we kind of wrap things up here, day 2 is going to be more exciting than day 1. I don't even know. Like, what was the, being in Hallis Hall is a lot different than being at your local bar, or you're hanging out, fellow Bears fans, family. Like when Colston Loveland was announced, what was the reaction? Like, what was the true, authentic reaction from wherever you guys were watching the draft? Was it with excitement? Was it with like, okay, oh yeah, but just what was the reaction? I'm curious, but I have a feeling, I know you guys do your homework as well. I see it every time in the chat. You guys provide some great comments, the back and forth too. So you guys have done your homework on these prospects. This is going to be, I think, even more exciting. Not only because you have 3 picks today, but like there are some quality football players, man. Really good football players. So it should be fun regardless. But I think I saw a question here. Oh, Squeegee. Hey, Squeegee, I appreciate you because you were the one who asked the question about Tyler Warren and Colston Loveland back on last Friday's show. And I was like looking at him like, I know I talked about him, but where was it? And I just so happened to find it. And, your comment was on the screen as I was looking back at that episode. So I appreciate you for the question and allowing me to talk about Colston Loveland because I did some homework on him. You say bear down, Nicholas. Chances we trade out of 39 or 41. Trade out in terms of maybe moving up or down. I don't know, man. I feel like, we just rattled off a bunch of good players that I think could impact this football team. They're positions of need, but also are just good players. I have a feeling we're still, and honestly, when Ryan Poles was saying he feels like there's going to be even more movement, to start off the second round. That's what he said last night. So maybe he's a part of that. But I don't know. To me, like I didn't feel like they were going to actually move up last night. They didn't. I don't know if they move up today. I really don't. There's going to be, I think, quality football players that they can select at 39, 41 that they feel will, one, match the value on their big board, but also just be impact players for their football team. So I will say they don't move up, but it's the NFL draft, man. Anything can happen here. Shedeur Sanders is still on the board. And, when he got, I don't know, once the New Orleans Saints didn't take on, like, this guy, I think I made the comment to Alex Shapiro from CHSN, like, he's not going to get drafted today. And he didn't. So, yeah, it should be a fun time. Should be a fun rest of this day. But like I said, I got some things I got to go do before I get to Hallis Hall, get to speak to Colston Loveland. So think of some questions to ask the new first round draft pick, new playmaker for Caleb Williams. Busy day today, but wouldn't trade it for anything. And, we will definitely talk about these picks. Maybe hesitant plan tomorrow morning, but obviously things start up really early and I just don't know what the schedule is going to exactly be like. So let's be very flexible. And of course, Herb Howard and I will be posting, content on the Bigs YouTube channel. So please go subscribe if you haven't already. It's the Bigs. You'll see our reaction to the day 2 picks, and also just our analysis and just kind of what we're hearing from Ryan Poles, the scouts that get to talk. So a lot of good insight that you're going to want to make sure that you don't miss. So subscribe to their YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at Nicholas Moreano, at Herb Howard 411. But yeah, let's see what the Bears end up doing on day 2, you guys. Should be fun, like I said, but enjoy. I almost forgot today it is Friday. Enjoy your Friday. Have fun watching the draft. Have a drink for me. And, I'll celebrate at some time when the draft is over. But that's going to do it for this episode of the Nicholas Moreano Show. Everybody, I'm going to be on social media, so definitely check out all the content I'll be posting over there. But we'll tune in, hang out at some point. You got to be flexible. Subscribe. You'll get the bell notification when I'm going live. That will definitely help you as you guys are making or seeing whenever I'm doing content. But ending the episode, I'll catch you guys all later. But until then, adios, Bears fans.
Bend over to your right. What the was that?
What's up, Bears fans?
People want to hear me talk.